Morning, everyone. Well, we have a really great interview, dialogue, vid chat. We haven't quite come with the right word yet with Nisha Manek. And she is going to be really talking about creating intentional space. And she's written a fabulous book called Bridging Science and Spirit. And so she's really bringing physics, like bringing all of consciousness and physics together is like more or less what we could say. So I'm going to let her give, so Nisha, if you could just kind of tell everyone your, a quick little background and then who William Tiller is, because it's so amazing. You studied with him. He's so famous.
Yeah, Carol, I just want to say namaste and thank you for having me with you. I mean, you're just a spark, okay? And so I'm a medical doctor, okay? So I'm actually originally from Kenya, and I did medical school in Scotland, in Glasgow University, and trained in internal medicine in London. And then I did fellowship. I'm a rheumatologist by specialty, and where I did my specialty training at Stanford University in California. So I'm actually greeting you all from Orange County in California. And from Stanford, I went to the Mayo Clinic. I was at Mayo Clinic for many years. I was faculty there. So, you're looking at a very conventional linear science background where I did teaching of residents, I did teaching of fellows, I did research in arthritis care. And along that journey, I knew it was evident to me that in medicine, which is really my background, this is my platform, that human beings, you and me, Carol, and all those listeners, we are capable of so much more. Not only in our health and healing, but we are creative beings. We have energetic and informational systems. Now, I know this. In my anatomy class, I dissected the body and I could see muscles and nerves and all those beautiful things. But we also know that those invisible aspects of the human are integral to who we are, okay, or what we are. So as I went about my medical career at the Mayo, I knew that chemistry is not the whole story. It isn't the whole story. I'm going to keep repeating that. Chemical medicine is important, but limited. And so in my searching for the next step to increase my tool bag, I kept bumping into the energy systems. Okay, that was the bridge, you might say, to physics, to energy. All right, because energy, you have to link to a physical science like physics. So this is William Tiller. I was writing a book chapter about Qigong. Qigong is the foundation for Tai Chi, all right? Now, in my writing and research of this book chapter, I wasn't satisfied with just randomized controlled trials. I wanted to know what is the characteristic, what is the signature of the acupuncture meridian system, because in medicine, we don't have a definition. We actually do not have a construct. If you don't have a construct, you can't study science. All right, we're missing that. I mean, let's get this right.
I think that's so interesting just on the virus. It's different concepts of what it is. I mean, in Chinese medicine and Vedic, it's a poison twin. It's so, yeah. I see.
So when we come back to the energetic systems of the body, it was clear to me, first of all, it's very powerful. It does do things. I could see it in my patients. I could see that patients who did Tai Chi and even did chair yoga could handle their ups and downs in life and their arthritis much better. Much better. They didn't need steroids. They didn't need constant adjustment of their medications. And I asked them, what is it that you do? And they could only say, Dr. Manek, I have to do my yoga. I do my meditation. And even if I'm in pain, I can handle it. They would use one of them. I remember Teresa doing this, sort of hand gestures. So when I was writing this book chapter, Carol, I run into Bill Tiller's work. And he has a seminal paper in 1993, Journal of Scientific Exploration. It's free. It's free on Google Scholar. I invite all of your listeners and viewers to go to Google Scholar, William A. Tiller, Subtle Energies. He actually coined the term subtle energies.
Wow, that's amazing.
1993, a very pivotal paper. So I read this paper full of equations. Okay, I couldn't understand it. But I knew something about this science is really, really crucial. Okay, because he goes into the subtle energies' power to move things, to move chemistry. Now we're on to something, subtle energies. I'm not in medicine anymore. I'm in the physics realm. I don't understand this language. I don't understand equations. This is very new to me, but I was determined to get to the truth. Now, Tiller is really interesting because he was professor of material science and engineering at Stanford for many years, 35 years or so, okay? And material science means you know and you understand the atoms and molecules that make up materials. He's a genius. He knows how to create new material. This is really key because we'll come to his target experiments later on in this, okay? He knows materials. He knows the conditions where materials can be changed and make new materials. He's an engineer. He connects the dots. He bridges the gaps. And I bring this out because Tiller is a bridge builder in his mindset. Whereas in medicine, I look at a joint, I look at the immune system, I look at my own little silo. I don't bridge gaps. I'm in my little world. Physics and Tiller, his mindset was to go across and see the connections. I, in my little world, was this very limited. He was very expansive. It was so evident to me when I read his papers and his work. Because I'll tell you another thing, Tiller published in medical journals. Astonishing. A physicist is going into medical journals to communicate something that is really crucially important. And he said, when I met him in Arizona, he retired in Arizona, in Scottsdale. And when I first met him, I asked him, what made you go here? He says, because medicine is stuck in chemistry. And we need to really expand our thinking beyond just the biochemistry to make humans aware of the gifts that they are. We have gifts inbuilt into us. Mother Nature is very wise, okay? We don't, so I'm not debunking medicine because medicine, I know, I've practiced science, I've learned the science, I do it every day, I do telemedicine, so I don't ignore it, but I also am aware that when a patient is ready, I open the conversation. Hey, listen to me. You already have many gifts. Why don't we look at Tai Chi? Why don't we look at intention? And I'll come back and circle back to that later on. But we open the conversation because it's not enough, I should say. It's not enough to give steroids. It's not enough to give methotrexate. It's not enough just to do that. It takes us a long way, but I know we're at a point to make people aware that, hey, you can do a lot of things for your self-care that will benefit you.
Mhm.
And I told you at Mayo, my patients were doing that and teaching me the power of the energetic systems. And
No, it's interesting, just as a little aside, my brother is a continual patient at Mayo because of his sinuses and problems, but they have him doing Qigong and Tai Chi.
in
I
Rochester, in Rochester,
yeah, in Rochester, I thought, I was just amazed. I thought it was great that they were recommending that to him.
it is amazing, and kudos to Mayo. You know, when I was there, I would give grand rounds on turmeric. I would give grand rounds that turmeric it's gonna come. And this is in year like 2001, 2002. Actually, I was at Mayo, and then I went to do some research in London and came back to Mayo. So I'm talking early 2000s. I was giving grand rounds on the power of nutraceuticals.
Right.
Okay, botanicals that have anti-inflammatory properties. And then I would go into omega-3 and all of that. That was really my bent, that we have to do these other things in addition to chemical medicine. But I knew that underlying all that chemistry is something more powerful. And this is where the acupuncture system comes in. But I didn't know that. I didn't know the term subtle energies until I came to Tiller. So I meet him, I write to him, I call him, I was persistent. I said, I need to decipher this paper and many others. I just couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah.
But I knew that this was really, really important. So, he tells me through Walter Dibble, his associate, an experimental physicist, Walter Dibble, that read this. This is his book, Psychoenergetic Science. And he says, Bill Tiller says, read this book. So I get the book and I'm reading it. And I honestly, Carol, I was getting somewhere to some vague understanding, but I'll be honest, I was really not clear. I couldn't understand the Tiller bridge. I couldn't get from linear medical science to subtle energies, and finally, actually, to who we are as Homo sapiens, as human people. He has laid the foundations, but I wasn't getting it. Okay.
Right.
I meet him in Scottsdale for dinner. I was very persistent. He says, okay, I'll meet with you. I'll meet with you. And honestly, that dinner was like yesterday, because here's the thing. Tiller is very special for many reasons. But one thing was very clear to me when I talked to him, that dinner meeting. First of all, I was really terrified of meeting him. It's like saying, I'm going to meet with Einstein. Why do you ask Albert? What do you ask Charles Darwin? What do you ask Isaac Newton? You're asking a rock star in science, okay? And I didn't really know what I would really say, but all I knew is I needed to just be in the same room with him. And it's like saying, can I feel this man's heart? I think this is what it was. And it was the most magical 4 hours. Honestly, it was a 4-hour dinner. But one thing I did ask him was, in your model, you talk about slower than speed of light and faster than speed of light, and you have to link the two. And we're in the slower than speed of light in medicine, right? He says, okay, you're getting somewhere. I said, so you make these connections with deltrons to the faster than speed of light. Well, it seems to me, Dr. Tiller, that you get there with spiritual work. Well, have you heard, this is the question, I was testing him. Have you heard of A Course in Miracles? And you know what? That's when he shocked me. He totally blew my mind, because he turns to Jean Tiller, his wife, and says, oh yeah, Jean, remember Helen Schuckman? She came. He came to their home in Menlo Park, and she brought the original manuscript of A Course
they were
in
the
Miracles.
original ones.
The original manuscript for Bill and Jean Tiller to read. Okay. Wow. And he says, I remember I read the book. I think it's a very fine book. It's how Jean and I live our life. Can you imagine? I was a student of A Course in Miracles at that time. My head just went, okay. I mean, I went, what? Okay, so he's unique because Tiller knows science. He's exquisite in his approach.
Mhm.
At Stanford, exquisite in mathematics. He knows materials. He knows engineering, but he was a spiritual adept. He was a spiritual master.
Mhm.
I'm going to repeat this. You have to be inner self-managed, Carol. Let's get this straight. So I'm saying to him, Dr. Tiller, thank you for this dinner. I would love to come and study. And he said, no.
Mm.
He said, no, you belong at Mayo, go back. I went back to Rochester. I mean, it was a conference. I was speaking. I was okay with it, but I was really upset. I was
Right.
so upset. I'm in Rochester and it was July 2009, thereabouts. And I was really like, what? And then 3 months later, out of the blue, he called me. It was
Wow.
around October. And he said, I've been thinking about your proposal. And he says, I think we could work together, but you don't need to replicate physics experiments. What you need to do is communicate something of the Tillerian physics to your colleagues, so you open the door to some greater reality in medicine, okay? And I said, I'm on the phone, like, no problem. Am I shouting too much? To me, it was so exciting. I said, yes. He said, I have no money for you. I said, cares?
Yeah.
It's not that I want the truth. Okay. And my well-being is not from money. My well-being is to follow the truth. Okay. Follow the heart. And you've opened something. But this is the thing that really stood out for me. And I wrote it in the introduction to Bridging Science and Spirit. He said this, and I'm putting up my finger and shaking it because it stood out to me and it was exciting. I remember that. And he said, Nisha, I will not work with you unless you meditate. I will not work with you.
Right.
Unless you meditate. Now, Carol, how many times do we fill out application forms for jobs, universities, medical schools? Does it say, do you meditate? Is that the most important question to a human being? That are you with it? Are you open? Have you got a spiritual tradition? He asked me the most fundamental thing, that Nisha, I want you to meditate. He didn't say what kind of meditation. He didn't dictate to me. He just said, please, can you do this? Because then I can work with you. He was doing something very fundamental and saying to me, whatever it is you do, however practice you do, whatever tradition you do, start doing it. Now, until that time, I had been doing some meditation. I was into A Course in Miracles. So every morning I would read the lesson and try to do it in my clinic, it's a contemplative practice.
Right.
So when he said that, I knew this is it. This is the magic. And I remember to this day, I respected that he demanded that basic thing of a researcher, of a human, that, look, if you want to do the science or understand it, you need to have an openness and a steady mind and heart to be able to grasp it.
He's so insightful. Wow.
More than that, he was kind. That is a guru. So Tiller is like a Vedic rishi. You have a rishi. Rishi is a Vedic term of a teacher of a very high level.
Right.
So Tiller is a rishi. And when you meet a rishi along your pathway in life, pay attention, because he's worthy of your time.
Right.
He's worthy of your time. So this is what I did with this Tiller book. And I wanted to check him out again. He knew Helen Schuckman. He read A Course in Miracles, but I wasn't satisfied. At that time, I had a map of consciousness of David Hawkins.
Oh,
All right.
Mm-hmm.
It really blew my mind that truth is free and available if you have the integrity. You have to have integrity. You are not gaining anything. Truth is free and available to all.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Hawkins used muscle testing, applied kinesiology, and I've looked into that, okay? I don't do it on a regular basis, but it is like dowsing, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And I took psychoenergetic science and I calibrated it. So on a map of consciousness of Dr. Hawkins,
Mm-hmm.
it is from 0, which is really low, to Christ consciousness. Now, here's the thing about a map of consciousness. There's only one quality you are looking at. Only one quality of the cosmos, of nature, in science, in any aspect is just one quality. Love. Love, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's the gradation of love. Either you're in full-on love, Christ consciousness, full light,
Mm-hmm.
or there's the absence of that light you call darkness. There's not opposites. It's
Right.
just the degree of the presence. It's really important you get this.
Mm-hmm.
Because we get positionalities. We have, judgments. You don't need that. We don't need, it's just a difference, okay? So Hawkins was very clear that don't judge this darkness because it has no reality. It's just the absence of love. Go and shine your light there, and it will transform. So even in the darkest moments, in the darkest corners, the conditions for love exist. That is profound, profound, okay? So psychoenergetic science, on this scale of consciousness, you have the absence of love, then you have willingness, courage, pride, all of them come there. Science is intellect. That's quite high on that map of it's in the 400s. So Hawkins gave numbers to the system. It's exponential growth of power.
Right.
Okay. It's the logarithmic scale. Now I won't go into the mathematics, but it's to the power of 10. So each point on that scale, you multiply by 10, by 10, by 10, by 10. Okay. So increase of 2 points, 10 times 10, 100-fold increase in power.
Right.
3-point scale, 10 times 10 times 10, 1,000-fold. Do you understand the basic math here? Okay.
No.
So 400s on that scale, as the intellect is very, very high. It's very powerful. So medicine is in the 400s. Okay. So it has done great deal of good, but it will have its limits. You have to go into the heart level, and that's where 500s come in. And just like love, it's infinite. You go 600, 700s, 800s. We won't go there today. We won't, because I don't understand it either. But I do understand.
So interesting. It takes you out of the binary system. Like you're the connection, between the two. It's like that.
The human is the connection. The human has the capacity for darkness, and the human has the capacity for Christ consciousness. We are it.
Exactly.
We're not animals. We're not plants. We're not the rock. We can talk to each other and create a book. We can talk to each other and create a harmony. We can talk to each other and create a symphony. We're Beethoven. We're Einstein. We are it, okay? We create the laws, but we are not stuck in those laws. I want to be very clear on this. And this is where Tiller is saying, awaken your spiritual powers. Hawkins is saying, awaken your heart. Become the devotional. Devotion. Unconditional lovingness. And Tiller was there. He was doing science of the heart. He did it from his own spiritual practice. He every morning would read the Psalms. His favorite Psalms are 23 and 46, if you want to know. Okay. So I want your listeners to take heart, get your spiritual foundation absolutely solid. No doubt, no skepticism, and just say, I'm going to test this. Like Buddha, don't take my word for it. I am going to test this faith, this song. I give Psalm 91, God's shield, often, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. We are under that great protection of the Almighty. And in that psalm, it says, I shall give his angels charge over thee to lift thee, and lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. We are protected, okay? No plague can come near thy dwelling. So you can do all the science, but ultimately you have to have spiritual awareness. Bridge the two. Bridge the two, okay? So this is what Tiller is doing, bridging science and spirit. And he was capable of it. He was capable of it. Not every scientist is.
Right.
I must say this. I mean, people will be critical of me, so be it. But Tiller was capable of this science because he was so self-managed inside. Very still, I could feel it. He is a rishi. Rishi is somebody.
He also, his wife meditated along with him too. It's
every day. That's
exactly.
Right.
I mean, the
Jean
Pear Lab at Princeton did research on that, so it's the two.
So you're right about Robert Jan and Brenda Dunn. You're referring to the Pear Labs. Yes, You're right. There were a team, and in the Tiller world, it was Bill and Jean Tiller together. Absolutely. I totally agree. And so they would meditate at least an hour, sometimes more, every day. And I got to know this, that, you don't call the Tillers between a certain hour in the afternoon because they're meditating. They will. They switch up everything. Everything is off and you just go into meditation. So this book calibrates 575. It's beyond unconditional lovingness. 540 on the Hawkins scale is love, but unconditional. This surpasses that. And when Dr. Hawkins confirmed that, I went, wow. This book,
so you sent it, you asked Dr. Hawkins to confirm
in
your
person.
findings?
Oh yeah. People, it was in Prescott, Arizona. It was his teaching. He was teaching there. I went. I used to go and see Hawkins. And I was so adamant to confirm this because I was going to leave Mayo. I mean, that's a big deal.
Right.
That's a big deal. I was going to walk out, no funding, no safety net, nothing. I just was saying, is this the truth or not? And this is where you have to have calibration and techniques, and it really was my indicator, my litmus test, you might say. And when Hawkins confirmed it, I went, okay, I think, look at this book. I don't understand it. I don't get it, but I need to know the truth. And, I used to complain to Tiller, hey, I don't think science can get to spirit. I don't think science can get to spirit. And you know what he did one day? He says, Nisha, science is a way to self-realization. Science is a way to self-realization. It's in pillar number 7 of my book, because that's tremendously profound again. Who is doing the science? Are they capable? Are they doing it for gain? Are they doing it for accolades? Are they doing for funding? Are they doing it for recognition? All of these things are wrapped into it. What is your motivation? And Tiller's motivation in writing these things and doing this research was always to advance humankind.
Yes, that's so
always
fabulous.
To advance.
Because we're so stuck in money science at the moment.
Well, I can't speak to everybody's motivation, but this was Tiller's motivation. And that is where I say rishi.
Right.
He is a rishi. He says science is important. It is because we worship science, we worship numbers, we worship data. but be aware who is generating that science, who is interpreting that science, and why are they doing it? And that's hidden from us. That is hidden.
Right.
And this is why the Hawkins map of consciousness opened my world to the truth, that we have a way to access the truth and motivations if we know how.
Now, did you get through this through kinesiology or dowsing? How did you determine?
I determined muscle testing.
Muscle
and
testing.
When I kept getting over 500, I was worried. I said, I don't know. That's when I went to Hawkins and I said, I don't know. Can you please check? And he did. And he said, this Bill Tiller 575. And I went, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I remember being so excited. So because one thing, it confirmed that my dowsing is right. I mean, my muscle testing is right.
Right.
And number two, Tiller is really, really close to 600, which is enlightenment, self-realization. And when I met him in Scotland, I could feel it. I could feel the love, the jovial personality. He was not this dour physicist, like I'm better than you are. No, no, I didn't get that at all. It was, hey, let's have dinner. And what are your questions? And how can I help you? And 4 hours later, I realized, wow, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be, because I'm in science, in medicine. It's not getting me there. It's just more mouse models and B cells and T cells. And, I do this all day. I analyze the body. I analyze and image radiology, the body. And I think we have to go to bigger things.
Right.
And he gave me that window, just this slit in the door, and I needed to walk through it. And it was scary, I'll be honest, because, I had no funding, I had no curriculum. I was just saying, this is the truth. It calibrates high. It's the unknown, but I'm ready to walk there. I need to go there, okay? And so when Tiller says, meditate, I will only work with you if you can do that, I was ready. I said, I put my hand up. I put my hand up to do the work, okay? And that was, I don't know for time, Carol, where we are, but oh my gosh, we've got 10 minutes. If
we've got like 30 minutes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Tiller's, this is actually in the very beginning of my book, because this is really important to understand his intentions, his viewpoint. My long-term goal in intention science is to build a reliable bridge. A reliable bridge means the foundations are firm, the foundations are timeless. You can't have science that shifts and changes. And, he's talking about a foundation that is reliable for all time, where you walk from traditional science that goes through all the emotions of human, and the bedrock is spirit at the other end. This is where bridging science and spirit is borrowing from this. I had the job to take the ideas, the concepts, the data from Tiller's science and build a bridge. Build a bridge, because many illumined men have gone from science and gone to the other side. David Bohm, Carl Jung are very enlightened souls, and they crossed the bridge. But what did they leave us? They left us very good quotes. Okay, but Tiller says, no, we got to build the science bridge. And that's where I said, okay, I'm going to put up my hand. I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to communicate Tillerian physics for the ordinary person, for the scientist, and particularly for medical scientists, for my colleagues, because I think chemical medicine is limited. It has served us well. Like I said, I still practice it, but I've opened the door to subtle energies and to intention, okay? So
I think you're right. So we have like 20 minutes. Maybe we could, like, in a few weeks or a couple of weeks, do a part 2.
We will do a part 2, honestly, because I think
Because I don't want to hurry you through this, you know. It's
don't
so
hurry
important.
me. Don't hurry me. I think the story is part of it, you know.
Yeah,
We're storytellers. We are really giving a context.
right. But I mean, it's also important, so we don't want to lose it. Okay.
And I'm happy to do another, you know, an hour in a few weeks so that
Right.
we'll build the story and build the bridge.
Right. And
So-
meanwhile, everybody could get the book.
I hope so. So, you know, Shiva he appears in Bridging Science and actually closes pillar number 1 of the bridge, because Tiller gives the foundations, the modern foundations to the ancient traditions of intention of human consciousness, that we are so much more. We are Shiva consciousness. We are Christ consciousness. We are Krishna consciousness. We're Buddha consciousness. All of these faiths are one because there's only one quality, love. Okay, let's just get again that clear. So this was my mission. We have to unify science and spirit seamlessly. And we need to do that because we have to demand it. And that our doctors, our scientists, we should ask them, do you meditate? Do you have?
Oh, good luck.
Well, I don't yet, but you know, you get a sense where they're at. You can get a sense when
But I mean, I mainly only go to Chinese, you know, doctors and acupuncturists, so I'm sure they are, but.
You know, I'll tell you, having studied Tai Chi and Qigong, that when I meet a master teacher, and it's just like my subtle energy, my acupuncture system picks up on where their understanding is. When I say understanding, where's their consciousness at?
Right.
Because you cannot radiate anything other than where you're at, your beingness, your consciousness, okay? You cannot fake it.
Right.
Your fear will get you in the end. You cannot fake it. And I've met many Qigong masters and Tai Chi teachers, and I can tell you they're very high. I can feel that they're jovial, full of life, anchored to earth, common sense, no fear. Okay, so this is my experience with the limitations. You know, I mean, we're in lockdown, but I have had the privilege of meeting wonderful Tai Chi teachers and Qigong masters when I was at Mayo Clinic. So that the fact that Mayo Clinic has Tai Chi as part of the curriculum and offering it to patients is essential. And I really applaud that. Medicine knows and recognizes, if Mayo Clinic can do that, many centers are, by the way, Carol, it is really necessary because we're taking the really big step to giving patients a gift that they already have inside of them. That's their pump. That's their energy pump, their subtle energy pump that drives all of their muscles, all of their brain cells, all of their heart, all of their digestion, all of their, you know, wonderful things that we can do as Homo sapiens. That pump is there. But we need to recognize it in medicine. And the fact that Mayo is, I say yes. And by the way, I was at Mayo and giving talks on this, so I am responsible for that too.
There you go. I'm going to have him watch this.
So this is a cartoon from my book, Dr. Tiller and me. So when I left the Mayo, I literally drove my Jeep to Scottsdale, Arizona with nothing. Okay, I had my books, I had some clothes, I'd packed it. I said, God bless this thing. I gotta go. I gave my resignation at Mayo and just literally walked out. And I say thank you to Mayo because it is excellence in conventional care. There's no question, right? It has truth to the ivory tower of good science. But they also recognize, and they often used to say, you know, Nisha, it's something about what you're saying is truth, but we don't know how to mentor you. We
Mhm.
don't know how to help you take this forward. So
Right.
when I found Tiller and he says, I will work with you, I went for it. And I would say thank you to Mayo for giving me that opportunity to be there, to experience the camaraderie, the collegiality, the excellence, and to have that foundation and then go and experience this,
Right.
So I walked out of Mayo and, I met with Tiller every Thursday. And in fact, my book was originally titled Thursdays with Tiller. And whenever you do a book, you have many iterations of titles and editing, and all of that goes through. And my editor said, I think Thursdays with Tiller, Tuesdays with Maury, I think you're getting there, but really you're all about building a bridge. You're bridging something. You're bridging science. You're bridging this faith and consciousness and intention. And I think it should be captured in your book. It's not just nice anecdotes from a teacher. You're really giving data. You're really looking at science. You're building the foundations of a bridge that are timeless. And honestly, so after much debate, we did Bridging Science and Spirit. And then the subtitle is rather long, but this is a cartoon. Every Thursday, Dr. Tiller, sharp 9 a.m., he would drive in with his brown hat. He had a hat, always had a hat. And I would have tea. I would have tea ready and sometimes a snack, and we would have for 2 hours.
Wow.
And I recorded those meetings on a camera. These are videotaped over 4 years. I have hundreds of hours. I have barely even scratched the surface of what we did, because we talked about faith, spiritual traditions, spiritual classics, the Bible, the Gita, Krishna's conversation with Arjun. We did A Course in Miracles. We did Amazon bestsellers. We did physics. We did quantum mechanics, the double slit experiment to thermodynamics, everything. It was there. And, sometimes our meetings were in his labs at Payson, Arizona. In the center of the state of Arizona, he had a special parcel of land that he built his labs. He continued his work from Stanford in Payson, Arizona. And so this is the clue. This was the clue about the magic of space. The magic of space. When I went to Payson, Arizona for my meetings there at his labs, the first time I did that, now you go to an elevation almost like 4,800 foot above sea levels. I mean, it's really high. Okay, there are pine trees. It's really special, very quiet. And then you enter this lab space. It's like you're in a physics lab. I mean, computers and papers and books and Faraday cages and pH meters, and it's everywhere, equipment. And this was the amazing thing. I sat in that space with all of these busyness, this almost like a chaotic environment, and yet I felt like I was in a cathedral.
Wow.
Whoa. Whoa. I remember saying to Dr. Tiller, I feel so alert and awake. What is this? Because I feel refreshed. And I remembered that day. He says, now you're touching something. We're coming to that in future. It was like a twinkle in his eye. He says, Nisha, that's exactly right. I was looking around. I said, I don't understand this, because when I'm in a conference or a library or a physics lab like this, it exhausts me. Surrounded by computers, the electromagnetic fields, I know what happens to me. This didn't happen today. What gives? And he said, I know, but we will come back to that. And this is the big clue, that you can have a space in a very intellectual environment and be refreshed. What is that? What is that? It was like being in a temple, like a cathedral, and I felt refreshed. And I remember when I drove back to Scottsdale from Payson, when I went back to the, low-lying desert climate, back to my apartment, that day was so amazing that I didn't need so much food. Everything was clear, the lights, the sounds. It's like my whole biology was shifted for a brief period in time. And that was it. That something about Tellurian physics is tied into the physical space itself. It's not the brick and mortar per se. It's
Right.
not the computers. It's not the pictures, not the plant. It's nothing contained in that space, but it's the physical vacuum of that space was different. And I touched it.
Right.
But I felt it, I touched it isn't quite the right word, because Tiller's intention had touched it regularly, had conditioned it, had touched it in a special way, that space was so elevated that when someone like me entered it, there was something magical. And I want to end here because, Carol, I want your listeners to get Bridging Science. Actually, let me see. Yeah. Okay. So this is it. Yeah. I want your readers to. There's so much we're packed in here already, that there is something magical about this space, about human consciousness, about contemplation, about meditation. There's a lot we've already talked about, and the map of consciousness too, right?
Right.
There is so much here to be unraveled by your listeners, that this is a good space, because then we can go to his target experiments and what the space adds to that.
Exactly.
Because that's the real
conditioned space, and we've gotten to that point, and then we'll go more into how you manifest, how you make it happen.
How we make it happen. Absolutely. And it was confirmed. It was confirmed later on with the relics of Buddha,
Oh, that's fabulous. So everyone, can you give your website? What is it?
Oh, yeah. Let me see. It's nishamanekmd.com. It was at the very end of this that I had. Let me end this show and let me go get to.
Because if you go to her, do you still have that picture, that incredible one with the arcs of light?
No, I don't have that, but this is what happened. Let me go from current slide. So this is the living room, and your space can be like this, okay? This is what I felt with Tiller. And I lived in London. I used to go to the Westminster Abbey all the time for lunch. I worked at St. Thomas's Hospital. I know what a cathedral feels like. You can close your eyes. And when I would close my eyes in the Tiller lab, it felt like I was not in a lab. I was in this restful, sacred space. And this is the clue. We have to go here. And what does this mean, really? Okay. And I want your readers to get, hang on. I would love for your readers to get, I'm going to go here. So nishamanekmd.com, my practice is Rheumatology, Santa Cruz, which, by the way, you cannot get appointments. You have to write to me. I only take appointments on a case by case because I'm very busy. I'm writing book number 2. I'm writing a masterclass for people with rheumatoid, how they can embody the principles that we're talking about today to really heal themselves, to really begin the journey of discovery, of self-discovery.
Right.
It's up to them. They already have the tools, and rheumatoid arthritis can be a platform to really jump high in consciousness. But anyway, coming back to the relics of Buddha, I wrote on the phenomena of physical space and what happened with the relics of Buddha. And it's nishamanekmd.com. It's there. You can download it. It's free. And it's still up. I'm changing my website. I've kept it up because it's going to be taken down.
Because I have the picture on my computer, and when I'm doing other stuff, I just enlarge it. Because it's got fabulous energy. Oh,
yeah, that picture is it's prayer. It's Buddha himself.
Yeah.
He's speaking to us. You
Right.
don't need eyes and ears and mouth and ears, okay? You don't need a physical body, and that's the amazing thing.
Mhm.
And that's what Tiller is saying, Nisha, your consciousness is not locked here. Consciousness is beyond space and time. We already talked about it. There's a faster than speed of light and slower than speed of light. In science, in physics today, we're stuck in slower than light. We have to let go of those limitations.
Right.
Okay, and I mentioned this in my book. And so your readers can start to piece the puzzles together in their own understanding. So I invite them to look at Bridging Science and Spirit. Just walk across the bridge, just flip through the book, through the diagrams, and just get the greater scheme of things. You don't
Well,
need,
the book is
you know,
so good because she's got like 60 illustrations like this, that just to break it down so you can get it. Yeah, it's really
yeah, you know, physics is a little daunting. It is for me, I'll be honest. And so I doodle. I'm a very visual learner, and I was doodling, and I realized that they helped me. So I sent my doodles to my illustrator in Italy, Dario, and he converted them into art. So we had a lot of fun in that project.
Really, you just look at it and it's like, wow, you just get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps a great deal. So to your, you know, your listeners, your viewers, get the book, because when you get Tiller, his level is so high at 575. It will help you in your consciousness. You can evolve. You'll make the jump. This is it. If anything, please, it's not about selling books and selling courses. It's about humankind. Can you bridge science to your own consciousness, to your own evolution, to your own Christ consciousness? That's what I'm interested in.
Okay, this was great. So thank you so much, Nisha. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll hook up again and we'll have the second part. Thank you so much.
And I promise to bring the relics of Buddha and that picture, because it is a very powerful picture.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Carol.
Bye.
Bye.